What's going on, guys? Today I'm gonna stop talking like that. Today I've compiled a nice solid list of 58 vocalists, some of my personal favorites, some from Google.com, and I'm gonna rank them on this tier list here. This tier list is based on, let's say, 70% vocal talent and 30% personality. Nobody likes an asshole, you know. For example, if this were a tier list based solely on merit of character, Anthony Kiedis of Red Hot Chili Peppers would, well, actually, he would end up around the same spot. He's not that talented, but you get the picture. With that out of the way, let's get started with one of the all-time greats. Turns out my order was wrong. Sorry about that. We're instead going to start out with another one of the singers of all time, Adam Levine. Painfully average vocalist. Nothing too soul-changing about his voice. I've never heard a Maroon 5 song and been moved to tears, you know. He's always taking his shirt off on stage, which I think is a little corny too. Keep it in your pants, buddy. Now he's pushing 50. It's getting a little weird. C tier. Alex Turner of the Arctic Monkeys. I can't say I'm the biggest Monkey fan, okay, but I can respect his vocal talent. It's all right. He's not really that incredible, to be honest. He's also pretty annoying. At shows, he'll purposely fuck his popular songs up. I think that's super silly. Play the 505 song, Monkey Man. Top of the C tier. I can't say he's worse than Adam Levine. That would be absurd. Anthony Kiedis of the Chili Peppers. Great band, incredible guitar player in John Frusciante, but as a vocalist, Anthony Kiedis is not too special. There's also the pedophile tax that I have to put on his rank, which lowers him about a tier on this board. If I caught you off guard with that fact, imagine how caught off guard I was when I read Anthony Kiedis' own personal autobiography, in which he admitted to doing some genuinely abhorrent shit. Adam Levine is a villain, not a monster. I'm going to put Anthony Kiedis in his own tier. Billy Joe Armstrong of Green Day. I am a certified Green Day hater, but I'll give him his flowers. Not really from a vocalist standpoint. I think he's solid enough in that regard, but I think he's an incredible songwriter. He's got some gumption in that category. He also just seems like a really cool guy. I've seen him invite fans on stage to play with him. He's cool. I like him. B tier. Billy Corgan of the Smashing Pumpkins. I am a certified Smashing Pumpkins lover. But I'm not going to look you in the eye and tell you that Billy's a great vocalist, for that just wouldn't be true. I do think his voice does really fit his music, but I can't argue him as one of the greatest ever. I have far more respect for Billy as a songwriter and as a guitar player. He also kind of stinks as a person, super pretentious, kind of drove the band apart in the late 90s, actually. Not the guy you want leading your band. I'm going to put him at the back of the B tier. Bono of U2. 90% of my knowledge of U2 comes from the album they forcibly downloaded onto my iPhone in 2014. So I don't really know too much, but I do know the name, and that's legendary. He's a pretty great vocalist from the songs I've heard. No controversies either. Just seems like a textbook B tier, right between the two Billies. Please note that only names starting with the letter B will appear in the B tier. Brandon Boyd of Incubus, a personal favorite of mine. That's not really true, but I did grow up on a lot of Incubus. I think he's incredibly underrated as a live vocalist, especially in the 90s, and he seems like a really down-to-earth guy. I'm a big fan. I think he has some great range, especially on projects like Morning View. I'm going to give him the A tier. Brandon Flowers of The Killers. Dear viewer, I don't give a shit about this guy at all. I've always found The Killers relatively uninteresting, both musically and as a group of people, to be honest with you. Nothing really fresh about their music, nothing really fresh about his vocals at all. Top of the C tier. Brian Welch of Korn. This guy's just cool looking. I mean, come on. He wrote some horrifically dark music. He led the nu metal genre. He's the man. Vocally, he's pretty great, especially for his style of music. I don't think it would work with a lot of other genres, but his voice, it does scream nu metal to me. I'm going to give him A tier. Little oopsie poopsie here, dear viewer. Brian Welch is not the singer for Korn. That would be Jonathan Davis. I stand by what I said, though. He also looks pretty cool. Chester Bennington of Linkin Park. I'm actually a little concerned about my safety for this one. Dear viewer, he's mid. No, that's not true, but I don't put him in that vocal legend category that a lot of people do. I think he was an incredible vocalist, but I don't think he quite lives up to the praise people give him. Very great person, though, very down to earth, and he wrote some incredible music. I think he's a shoo-in for the S tier. Chino Moreno of the Deftones. I love this guy. I think he's one of the greatest to ever do it. Now I know, believe me, I do, that he's not the greatest ever live, but on studio recordings, I can't think of many vocalists I prefer, to be honest with you. He can go from metal screaming on records like Adrenaline to one of the most angelic voices I've ever heard on records like Diamond Eyes. his range, his ability to completely change his voice depending on the theme of the song, his songwriting ability. I genuinely believe he's one of the greatest vocalists ever. GOAT tier. Christopher Cornell of Soundgarden. I love this guy too. There shouldn't really be any controversy about this ranking, I hope. He's one of the greatest to ever pick up the microphone. His tone of voice, his ridiculous range, his live performances. This guy's the actual single GOAT. Also just a really cool guy, very loved by everybody that worked with him, very adored by his fans. Love this guy to death. Top of the GOAT tier. Chuck Schuldiner of Death. You may not know this beautiful bastard, and if that's the case, check these guys out, man. Well, I guess if you're a fan of metal. If you're not, that doesn't make much sense to do. He's an incredible vocalist purely from a metal standpoint. That raspy, screaming voice of his, it really fits metal perfectly. Super cool guy as well. Died tragically young. I don't think his voice would work in many other genres, though. I'm going to put him in the middle of the A tier. Corey Taylor of Slipknot. There's no real reason for my dislike of Slipknot, but it does in fact exist. It's a completely irrational bias I have, but even so, I can admit that Corey Taylor is an incredible vocalist. I watched him play Snuff live, and my opinion of the man it completely flipped. Also just a really cool guy, very sweet to his fans, incredible musician. I'm going to put him behind Chester in the S tier. I'm also going to move Chino down to the top of S tier. I just kind of wanted to make people mad with that GOAT's pick. I'm sorry. Courtney Love, she killed Kurt Cobain. I'm going to banish her to the Anthony Kiedis tier. Still above him, at least she didn't write an autobiography admitting to the crime. Damon Albarn of Blur. I saw this guy in an interview with Nardwuar, and my frown simply could not be turned upside down. Incredibly rude in that interview, at least. As a vocalist, he's pretty good. He's not knocking my socks off good, but he's good enough. Never been a huge fan of his work, to be honest. I'm going to put him at the back of the B tier. David Eric Grohl of the Foo Fighters. My parents raised me heavily on Foo Fighters, so please keep that in mind as I continue. Actually, that wasn't really an important fact. He's not that great. As a musician, he's one of my favorites to ever do it. Even as a songwriter, he's incredible. But vocally, he's just very solid. He's not great. He's not bad. He was pretty much the coolest guy in the world, though, for a very long time. Really down to earth, pretty funny, very kind person. And then he cheated on his wife with a stripper and had a kid with said stripper, so I believe we break about even in the character department. Gonna put him behind Billy. That's Billy with an I-E and not a Y. Dave Mustaine of Megadeth. I love these guys a lot. In the age-old debate, I give the very, very, very slight edge to Megadeth over Metallica. Dave Mustaine as a vocalist, however, one of the worst to ever be successful, to be honest. As a guitar player, one of my favorites to ever touch the instrument, but my biggest gripe with all of Megadeth's music is their vocals. He's also incredibly arrogant, but it's almost to the point that it's kind of cool. He's so full of himself that it's kind of sick. Not a great singer, though, not at all. Above Adam Levine in the C tier. David Bowie of David Bowie. His impact on music is undeniable. One of the greatest in the scene for sure. As a vocalist, I don't have a webcam, but if you could see me, I'm shrugging my shoulders right now. He's all right. Really cool guy, though. He's worked with a lot of my favorite musicians many times. I'm a big fan. Regardless, top of the B tier. Ooh, they're not going to like that. David Gilmour of Pink Floyd. I love this man more than several people in my family. I don't think that's true. But damn it if David Gilmour isn't one of my favorite musicians of all time. His voice, especially on songs like Echoes, it's just outright haunting, man. Seriously an underrated vocalist. Crookedly underrated if you ask me. Back of the S tier. Eddie Van Halen. One of, if not the best guitarists of all time. Not in the greatest vocalist discussions, though. Not at all. There, he's painfully alright. I like his voice, but I don't really think about it while I'm listening to their music. Some vocalists kind of steal the show with their voice, and it's obvious that that wasn't their intention. That's not a bad thing. It's a bad thing for this video, I suppose. Top of the C tier. Another little oopsie poopsie. Van Halen was not the vocalist. I was thinking of David Lee Roth. Sorry about that. Same spot. Eddie Jerome Vedder of Pearl Jam. He's a very hard vocalist to discuss, to be honest with you. His tone of voice, and I suppose his cadence, are really fun to listen to. My issue with Mr. Vedder is, well, I have no fucking idea what he's saying, almost ever. Without a lyric sheet in size 48 Times New Roman font, I'm not sure if I could understand a single fucking thing he says, ever. I really do like his voice, though. Very grunge, very talented man. Super great guy as well. He wrote Pro-Life on his arm in the middle of that Unplugged set. That was pretty cool. Whoa, time out. I'm glad I caught this one in post. This one would have aged poorly. Eddie Vedder did not write pro-life on his arm, he wrote pro-choice. That is what I thought was pretty cool. Sorry for the confusion. He also hasn't killed himself like most of his colleagues, so that's a thumbs up from me. I'm going to put him behind Chester in the S tier. William Frederick Durst of Limp Bizkit. I mean, this guy's just a lot of fun. Perhaps the main contributor of the destruction of Woodstock 99. He seems like an alright enough guy. He does love to get political on social media. That I could live without, but I like the guy. Not a super talented vocalist, though. He's okay. Back of the B tier. Freddie Mercury of Queen. Come on. Easily GOAT tier. I don't even want to waste any more time. A vocalist icon. I'm going to put him behind Chris Cornell, but still GOAT. Gavin Rossdale of Bush. Guys, I'm not gay, but come on. This guy's gorgeous. My intrusive thought won there. I'm sorry about that. Nice enough fella. Pretty uninteresting vocals, though. Another good enough vocalist, but definitely not one of the greats. I'm going to put him behind Van Halen in the C tier. Gerard Way of My Chemical Romance. I love this guy. I, too, was an MCR hater for much longer than I care to admit. But The Black Parade is seriously one of the better albums I've heard in my lifetime. Really unique voice. Masterfully used within his musical style. I like it a lot. Super cool guy, too. I've never heard anything bad about him. Top of the A tier. Glenn Danzig of The Misfits. Guys, I have no idea. I've seen the logo on the Alt Kids t-shirt in the high school cafeteria, but I've never listened to these guys. I added him because in the picture he looks like he would beat me up if I didn't add him. I'm going to put him at the back of the B tier. Hayley Williams of Paramore. One of the GOATs, and you can fight me on that shit, man. Live, she's an absolute killer. Incredible stage presence. A little annoying on Twitter for sure, but aren't we all? Incredible vocal range. I'm a huge fan. Behind Chester in the S tier. James Hetfield of Metallica. I mean, he's alright. Incredible guitarist and songwriter, of course, but his vocals have never really struck me as special. Really cool guy, though. I've seen many interviews. Very down to earth, even as the frontman of one of the biggest bands in the world. Behind Bowie in the B tier. Jeff Buckley, the man himself. Perhaps the singular most beautiful voice I've ever heard in my life. Very short career, but I've seen just about every interview you can see of the man. And he's just the sweetest guy ever, I think. I don't know. I love this guy. Also, ridiculously talented. Damn you, the Wolf River. Behind Chris Cornell in the GOAT tier. Jim Morrison of The Doors. Really interesting character, this guy. Super mysterious fella. I like him a lot. Very talented vocalist. Perfect for the psychedelic rock he put out with The Doors. I'm going to put him above the Korn guy in the A tier. Jimi Hendrix, another super interesting guy. Died very young, but left a ridiculous impact on the music scene as a whole. Not as a vocalist, though. His vocals are good enough, but it's really the instrumentation that sold Jimi Hendrix's music. Seemed like a cool guy, though. Very cool guy. Behind the Incubus guy in the A tier. Josh Homme of the Queens of the Stone Age. Sorry if I fucked that up. Super average vocalist, super normal guy. I don't really have too much to say here. Behind Billy Corgan in the B tier. Julian Casablancas of The Strokes. I love this guy's voice. A personal favorite of mine. Go listen to Ode to the Mets if you think I'm off my rocker with this take. Great vocal range, really good vocalist. Above Eddie Vedder in the S tier. Kurt Cobain of Nirvana. Forgive me, Nirvana fangirls, but Kurt is far and away my least favorite vocalist from that grunge era. Still a really great vocalist, though. I find his voice sounds best on the Unplugged session, but his voice never really hit me like the rest of those guys did, man. I don't know. Super cool guy, though. Very down to earth, very humble. Top of the A tier. Lane Rutherford Staley of Alice in Chains. Gun to my head, a high-pressure situation. I'm kidnapped. I'm looking for a way out. The water's rising. The kidnapper yells out, "Who's the greatest vocalist of all time?" He cocks the gun back. "Lane Staley," I yell out. He puts the gun back in his pocket, and we have a nice big hug. This is the actual GOAT. He's the greatest to ever do it. No voice has ever impacted me the way this man's has. From the terrorizing screams on songs like Man in the Box to genuinely angelic performances on songs like Nutshell, this man was genuinely able to do all of it. Also just a really cool guy. I've never heard a bad story about Lane. My GOAT. Rest in peace. Top of the GOAT tier. Les Claypool of Primus. I think it would be disingenuous to call Les Claypool a great vocalist. I think he does the job well enough, but his voice is not why people listen to Primus. You know what I mean? People listen to Primus to... Well, actually, I'm not sure why people listen to Primus. I've never been a big fan. Sorry, Primus fans. Behind the Bush guy in the C tier. Liam Gallagher of Oasis. Man, this guy has nothing but fucking problems. Him and his silly little brother. But god damn it, this guy's voice is electrifying. One of my personal favorites ever. I'm not really a huge fan of Oasis at all. Incredible range on this guy, really just a very soothing presence on a lot of their tracks. I can't really imagine Oasis without his voice. I'm going to put him behind Hayley Williams in the S tier. Matt Bellamy of Muse. This video is getting long and I have very little to say about Matt. He's good, better than a lot to be honest, but not one of the greats. No Way Jose, behind Bowie in the B tier. Maynard James Keenan, ridiculously talented vocalist. Of course I am slightly biased as I am a giant Tool myself, but I think it's undeniable. Go watch the song Sober live. Look for the one where he's in that pink onesie. You know the one I'm talking about. You can tell he's just made for this shit, man. He is music. Back of the GOAT tier. Mick Jagger of the Rolling Stones, an unfathomably iconic name, but I don't think his vocals were too out of this world. More so his stage presence. I think his vocals are good enough, but certainly not the selling point of the Stones, I wouldn't say. Above Hetfield in the B tier. Mike Patton of Faith No More and Mr. Bungle. An unfathomably talented vocalist with talent rivaling people like Chris Cornell in terms of octaves. Really strange vocalist though as well. With Faith No More, his vocals are very clean, very standard, but they're very, very good. With Mr. Bungle, they're still very good, but also almost indescribably strange. He seems like a very cool guy as well. I'm going to put it behind Liam Gallagher in the S tier. Morrissey of the Smiths. Oh, Morrissey. One of the most unique voices I've heard, and it's a really powerful one when coupled with their songwriting. Very good vocalist. Dare I say better than Robert Smith? Probably not, huh? I thought I could get away with that, but I could feel you staring blankly into your phone. I can't see you. Terrible person, though. Racist, insufferable asshole, super pompous. The list can go on. Still taking his shirt off on stage at the ripe age of 65. Top of the A tier because he sucks. Ozzy Osbourne of Black Sabbath. One of the most unique voices to ever hit the metal scene, dare I say. Also one of the greatest voices to ever hit the metal scene. Incredibly iconic voice. You know it when you hear it kind of thing. He also ate that bat. That was pretty fucking cool. Above Eddie Vedder in the S tier. Rivers Cuomo of Weezer. I'm gonna mess that up. I hate these guys. Not really hatred, but they're just not that good, man. Painfully average band. Painfully average vocalist. I'm running out of time behind Eddie Van Halen in the C tier. Robert Plant of Led Zeppelin. I'm on the fence with this guy. I listen to songs like Stairway to Heaven, and I want to put this guy in the S tier, but I can't really find that success replicated on many other songs. He's got very high highs, but on most tracks, I find him to be just a pretty average vocal presence. I'm going to put him behind the MCR guy in the A tier. Robert Smith of The Cure. This guy's voice is genuinely freaky, man. I love it in almost all cases, but it's such a unique voice that sometimes it actually freaks me out. I really hate listening to the song Love Song, not because of some tragic relationship, but because I find his voice in that song to just be so unfathomably solemn. It sounds just like pure sadness to me. Anyone that can do that with their voice belongs in the GOAT conversation, I think. I'm going to put him behind Hayley Williams in the S tier. Roger Waters of Pink Floyd, probably my least favorite of the three Pink Floyd vocalists, purely in terms of vocal talent. I think Roger Waters is a better songwriter, perhaps, but that's a topic for a different day. I think his vocal presence is absolutely necessary on Pink Floyd's music, but I find his voice is almost always overshadowed, whether it be by Syd Barrett or David Gilmour. I'm going to put him behind Hetfield in the B tier. Scott Weiland of the Stone Temple Pilots, dare I say, the most underrated vocalist of the grunge era. Scott might actually be my personal second favorite of that time. I think it would be disingenuous to put him above Chris Cornell, my bias aside, but he's seriously a freakishly talented vocalist. The Unplugged session alone is a GOAT performance, but through the course of his career, he threw up many, many historical performances. Kind of an asshole, though. Still top of the S tier. Serj Tankian of System of a Down, another one of my secret GOATs. I mean, it's not really a secret with this guy. Incredible range. His ability to just completely change his voice between verses, it's almost unparalleled, I would say. Super unique voice, very distinguishable, very powerful, perfect for their kind of music. Also a very cool guy. I've seen many great interviews with him. Behind Mike Patton in the S tier. Steven Tyler of Aerosmith, another pretty underrated vocalist. Doesn't do anything super special, but I hear his voice and I know it's an Aerosmith song. His voice almost ties their music together, I would say. I'm just kidding. I have no idea what I'm talking about. Behind Jim Morrison in the A tier. Stevie Nicks of Fleetwood Mac, sensational vocalist, pretty great range, very distinguishable voice. I'm a big fan. I find her to be the better vocalist in the band by a fairly wide margin. I'm not the biggest Fleetwood Mac fan, but I'm certainly a fan of her vocals, I would say. Behind Robert Plant in the A tier. Sting of The Police. Come on. What a legendary voice this freak has. Incredible songwriter, but man, his voice is just so iconic. It's hard to describe. Huge fan of this guy's vocals, absolutely. Very cool guy, too. Above Ozzy in the S tier. Syd Barrett of Pink Floyd, the third, well, actually the first vocalist for Pink Floyd. Crashed out super hard after he did too much acid, so that's pretty cool. But his time with the band is a very enjoyable one to look back on, I would say. Really great vocalist, and a major reason the band is where they are today. Of course, there would be no Dark Side of the Moon with Syd Barrett, but the charm of his voice, I think, it's undeniable, I would say. Behind Jim Morrison in the A tier. Thomas York of Radiohead. I am a massive Radiohead fan. Tom York is an absolutely sensational vocalist, and I think denying that it's actually just coping. The way Radiohead's music has transformed over the years, and watching Tom still just flawlessly match each individual era of music with his voice, it's crazy to watch, man. Incredible vocalist. Is a Zionist, though. Slight thumbs down. Above Maynard in the GOAT tier. Trent Reznor of the Nine Inch Nails. I truly believe Nine Inch Nails' success has genuinely nothing to do with Trent Reznor's voice. I think almost anyone could be singing for them, but no one can write music and lyrics like he can. I don't think he's a particularly notable vocalist, but he's certainly got his moments. Hurt is always a beautiful song to watch him perform live. Also, pretty cool guy. I've seen many, many cool interviews with him. Above Fred Durst in the B tier. Zach De La Rocha of Rage Against the Machine. A hard vocalist to rank because he doesn't really sing. He more so kind of raps over metal music, but I love their music. I don't think it's because of his vocals, though. More so his lyrical wit, I would say. Above Billy Corgan in the B tier. I forgot these guys while I was writing this, but then immediately after recording, I was flooded with information that I had not thought about. Aaron Lewis of Stained, incredibly underrated vocalist, masked behind his now relatively tumultuous presence in the music scene. Very talented bastard, though, incredible live performer. If he wasn't kind of an asshole, I think he'd be close to legend status. Behind Corey Taylor in the S tier. Ed Kowalczyk of Live, not to be confused with the previous bald white guy. This guy's actually pretty cool. Not the most life-changing vocalist, but a very solid voice from the 90s that I think often gets forgotten due to the sheer roster of cats that were singing at that time. I like him. Woodstock is a great show from them. Watch that, maybe. Or don't. I'm not your father. Behind Bowie in the B tier. Amy Lee of Evanescence. I can't believe I almost forgot her. One of the most dominating vocal presences of any female vocalist in rock. Perhaps not one of the GOATs, but an incredible vocalist nonetheless. I'm thinking the top of A tier. Sean Morgan of Seether. I like him enough. Pretty accurately rated. He's a solid vocalist, not one of the greats by any means. I do like a lot of his acoustic stuff, though. I think his voice works very well in that setting. Behind James Hetfield in the B tier. A couple last-minute changes before I send you on your way. Morrissey is now behind Stevie Nicks in the A tier. David Bowie is behind Morrissey in his new position. And Mike Patton is now above Liam Gallagher. I'm not sure why I did that in the first place. Now we're good. And with that, my friends, I've ranked every single vocalist I cared to rank. If I missed your favorite vocalist entirely, please assume it is because I hate them on a personal level, not that I didn't care to include them. Let me know how unbearably wrong I am in the comments, subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'm making a second channel. You probably don't care, but if you do, go check it out, man. I'd appreciate it. I plan to keep this channel music-related exclusively and to use the other one to do kind of whatever I feel like. Video games, maybe I'll live stream some music reactions over there, tier lists, shit like that. First link in the description if you're interested. Now goodbye.